Yo, what's up, sports bettors? Alex here, and there's a lot of value in the market. So I have 6 more player prop bets for you. NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs, a lot of value in the market. So we're going to go through a 6-leg parlay.
What's up, sports bettors? So I have 6 picks in my parlay, and my parlay is going to be on this platform called Parlay Play, right? Parlay Play, I got a parlay. So what's interesting about this platform, and I know I've explained it a bunch of times, but this is really the core to beating Parlay Play, is they won't vary your payouts. This is a new platform, right? They don't change your payouts, as you'll see right here, right? They don't change your payouts based on you selecting over or under. So long story short, any 6 picks you select, these payouts are fixed. Doesn't matter if you take overs, unders, MLB plays, golf plays, NHL plays, whatever. Whatever 6 picks you select, here are your payouts. So long story short, the strategy for beating them is you want to find spots where sportsbooks have one side heavily favored. So as an example, for Marcus Johansson, all the sportsbooks have his over 1.5 shots on goal as the heavy favorite, right? DraftKings has his over juiced to minus 135. So if you look at all the sportsbooks, why just look at DraftKings when there's dozens of sportsbooks, dozens of data points, is what you're going to notice is every sportsbook is saying the same thing. Pinnacle, right here, the sharpest, smartest sportsbook in the world. DraftKings, BetOnline, Bovada, Flip, they're all saying the same thing. Hey, Marcus Johansson, he's a lot more likely to go over as opposed to under. That's why his over is juiced, right? The over is the favorite outcome. So I've explained this before, numerous times, but this is just how sportsbooks work, right? They imply win probabilities through their odds. So what I mean by that is tonight, the Sixers are big favorites, right? They're like minus 500 odds. So they're really big favorites. They're very likely to win this game. On DraftKings, the Sixers are minus 500 and the Nets are plus 400. So what you can do is you can take the odds on sportsbooks and put it into what's called a no-vig odds calculator. So this is the most important calculator in sports betting. So essentially, according to DraftKings, the Sixers are 80.65% to win tonight, right? They're an 80.65% favorite. They're a really big favorite. They were around minus 450 odds on the sportsbooks. So it's no different here, right? I mean, it's kind of different, but not really different. So for Marcus Johansson, right? All the sportsbooks have his over heavily favored, so he's more likely to go over. So this is a great play to include in our parlay play entry because this platform, they're not changing your payouts based on you selecting over or under. So you want to find spots. It's really simple, right? You just want to find spots, and you can do this manually. You can hunt through DraftKings, FanDuel, all the different sportsbooks, but you just want to find spots where books have one side heavily favored, and you can get that line on parlay play, right? So you can see right here. Let's go back to DraftKings. It would be great if we could get Barkov over 2.5 shots on goal on parlay play because the sportsbooks have his over heavily favored. But if we, go over to this entry, so if we search for Barkov, you're going to notice they have his line at 3 shots on goal. So they're smart, right? Parlay play is like, hey, we're not changing payouts based on us selecting, based on the better selecting over or under. So we should bump that line up so they can't get the over 2.5, right? So you have to stay ahead of the sportsbooks. It's the same thing here, right? For Carter Vegare, his under 3.5 shots on goal is heavily favored. But you're going to notice his parlay play doesn't have his line at 3.5. They lowered his line to 3, right? So long story short, you need to find these spots where you can get a line on parlay play and the sportsbooks have the over heavily favored. So here we have numerous data points, right? There's, a bunch of different sportsbooks posting odds. They all have Marcus Johansson is over heavily favored. I say this all the time. You're not smarter than the sportsbooks. You're not smarter than the market. So use their data against each other, right? You have dozens of books all telling you where the line should be set. So look through all the lines and find spots where sportsbooks are screwing up. And here, parlay play screwing up. They're giving us this over at the implied price, technically, of minus 114, which we've explained in other videos, but they're not changing your payouts based on you selecting over under, and all the books are telling you the over is the heavy favorite. So you really want to go with the over in your parlay play entry. So you can see right here, what I ended up going with is Tucker under 4.5 points. Barnes over 14.5 points. Nikas over 2.5 shots on goal. Marcus Johansson over 1.5 shots on goal. And then let's go back here. May under 4.5 strikeouts, and then Hayden Wiekenski over 4.5 strikeouts, right? So May under, Wiekenski over. And all these plays are just from this positive EV tool. I mean, I say it all the time. I just follow the data. I know I'm not smarter than the sportsbooks. The sportsbooks have better models than you do, right? Like, there's no disagreeing with the fact that Marcus Johansson is a lot more likely to go over as opposed to under. Right? You have numerous data points. It's not just like there's one sportsbook telling you this. You have numerous data points. The sharpest sportsbook in the world, right? These are billion-dollar companies. DraftKings is a multi-billion-dollar company. They've invested hundreds of millions of dollars in their ability to set lines, and they're telling you, hey, Marcus Johansson, he's a lot more likely to go over as opposed to under. Right? So in every other sportsbook is in line with DraftKings. Sure, PointsBet has the over, a little more favor than DraftKings does. But again, every book sets lines independently. These sportsbooks are moving around odds. They're moving lines due to supply and demand. So in other words, if everyone came over, if all the sharp bettors or some syndicates, whatever, right? If all the action was coming in on the over, sportsbooks would move the lines in favor of the over. So maybe DraftKings would move from minus 135 to minus 150 to minus 160. That's called line movement, right? If all the action is coming in on the over, sportsbooks will move lines in favor of the over. So long story short, just like the price of a stock is based on supply and demand in the market, it's the same thing for sports betting, right? The odds on sportsbooks for over-unders is based on supply and demand from sports bettors. If all the sports bettors are coming in and everyone's hitting the over is going to start to get more favored. It's going to move from minus 135 to minus 145 to minus 155, right? So essentially, sportsbook odds reflect not only, what sportsbooks know, but also the supply and demand of all sports bettors, right? So unless you think you're smarter than every other sports bettor, right? Unless you think you're smarter than the market and you can outsmart the millions of other NHL sports bettors, you shouldn't be arguing with the fact that his over should be favored. He's a lot more likely to go over as opposed to under. It's just data, right? If you think the under should be favored, that means you think you're smarter than the sports books, all of them, because they all have his over favored. And more importantly, you think you're smarter than the market. You think you're smarter than every other sports bettor. So long story short, here's what I ended up going with on parlay play, 6 picks to turn $60 into $1,500 every play, mathematically profitable with an edge from the EV tool from the fantasy screen. Hopefully this video is helpful. Let's make